What's happening, guys? We're back. We're gonna take a quick break from the car this week and do some welding. All right, guys, we're back in the shop today. We don't have a whole lot to do on the car right now. All those panels and whatnot are still in design, and I'm prepping for next week's episode. So I think what we're gonna do is do some welding. We've been running that ESAB 215 for like about a year now. When I bought that machine, I bought it because it was a 4-way machine, but we've never really dug into all the ways that it can weld. We really kind of set it up for DC TIG and left it. That's 90% of what we're gonna do. So today I want to set it up in all the ways that it can weld, run a couple test beads, show you guys what it can do. So when we talk about a 4-way machine, what we're talking about is it can stick weld, it can MIG weld, it can DC TIG weld, and it can AC TIG weld. You'll find a bunch of 3-way machines out there that don't have the AC capability, but we got the 4-way one. So today we're going to start with stick welding. It's probably the most versatile way to weld. It's been around for a long time. A lot of guys in heavy industry will use it because you can weld very thick material with it, and you don't need to pack around a gas bottle, so you can do it wherever you want, as long as you got a power source. So we're gonna set the machine up for stick welding. Luckily, the ESAB came with a couple of sample electrodes because I don't have any other ones. So we'll grab one of those, set it up. We'll burn a couple of test beads, and then show you guys how it works. All right, that turned out about as well as I was expecting. Welding on the flat, just to do a couple little test beads, super easy. The welds turned out okay, I guess. They look like a weld. Then I tried to do a couple of fillet welds on this chunk of angle iron, and they look super boogery and gross. Some of them didn't actually even weld the two pieces together. They didn't join up. So I'm out of practice. I didn't really expect good results from stick welding. Probably if I needed to, I could get quite a bit better pretty quickly. I just haven't done it in so long. So, but we don't need to. We don't need to stick weld here. We got a bottle of argon right there. Let's use it. Let's switch the machine over to a MIG welder, and then we'll kind of repeat the same beads with the MIG and show you how much better that looks. All right, super easy. MIG welding is the hot glue gun of the metal world. Pull the trigger, point and shoot. Way nicer welds than the stick welder, way easier to control than stick welding, especially on stuff kind of this size. I really like the MIG function on this guy. I've welded with a bunch of different welders before. I had an old Miller, I had an old Lincoln MIG pack. I find that the MIG on this guy works better. It's cleaner, the arc doesn't wander as much, and it just gives really nice looking beads. So next step, we'll set her up for DC TIG. I know you guys have seen me DC TIG about 1,000 times in the past, but we'll run a weld bead next to the MIG weld and then kind of compare what the two look like side by side. All right, so pretty basic. We've DC TIG welded 1,000 times on this channel, but there's the TIG weld bead, there's the MIG weld bead, there's the ugly stick weld bead. So TIG to MIG, bead appearance is pretty similar. I would say that the TIG weld is actually less consistent, but that's operator error. I'm not super good at feeding my filler rod in consistently, doing nice even dabs, versus on a MIG welder, the machine does it all for you, so you can just kind of concentrate on your torch movements. TIG welding is way slower. Just in welds, you're probably looking at about 4 times as long per weld inch versus MIG welding. And then there's also the prep work that goes with TIG welding that you don't have to do as much of with MIG welding. So that's why a lot of guys that are building chassis or doing any kind of production work, they'll normally MIG weld because time is money. For us in this shop, TIG welding's funner, so we do it. Next step is we're gonna set the machine up to do AC welding. Obviously not on this piece of steel because AC welding is for aluminum. So I got a couple pieces of aluminum out, prepped up. We'll flip the machine over and do that. And there's AC welding aluminum. So works really well. Works way better than that old precision TIG that I used to have, mainly because this is an inverter machine. My old one was a transformer machine. Transformer machines on AC only weld at 60 hertz, because that's what comes out of the wall. So your movements are kind of dictated by whether you're on the positive or the negative side. With the inverter machine, you're able to tune that frequency up. So I was welding at 120 hertz. That high frequency makes it a lot more like DC TIG welding. Your movements aren't dictated by the welder. You can move whenever you want. So you end up with pretty nice clean beads. Yeah, it's very much like welding steel, other than the heat conduction in aluminum is really fast, so you have to back off the pedal as you go. But that's anytime you're welding aluminum. So that's it. That's all 4 ways that machine can weld. I know it wasn't a fabrication episode this week, but I thought it was kind of cool. So that's where we're gonna end the episode, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the like and subscribe button. If you didn't, sorry. Next week, we're gonna be back on the car. I got some stuff ready to go. So we'll see you then. I'm out of here.